Hello, and welcome to another episode of Creating Cultures That Outperform. As you know, we've been doing a series on how to lead from anywhere. And unlike many other series, we're actually giving you the norms that you should implement as a leader or a team to make sure everybody has an incredible sense of belonging in that organization. They love the culture, they really feel this is the place for them. And there's a series of things you have to do. And so we're giving you basically what you have to do, but we're doing it in a series so you can understand how this works, why it's important, and you can actually go in and turn these norms into questions in meetings and take a temperature check and see how you're doing. Because these are real human emotional needs. They have to be met in order for people to actually really feel like this is the place for them. They're going to put down roots and stay to build deep relationships. And so today we're going over how do you show you care? You need to create a human workplace where people are more than their jobs. That's really very important. And that really begins with this caring workplace, Tara?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Caring is really the gateway to get people to care about what you care about. When you start to care about what they care about, it really opens that door for deeper connections on the team, but also for deeper relationships and really quality work. Once people start to care and they really are locked in on what they're responsible for, they understand their roles and responsibilities, and they know that you care about them. They know that the work that they're doing is valuable, that it's meaningful work. They start to really care about it. And you find that, we care about people not just, as an employee, another number, but we get to know them. We want to know that, this person is making a connection, that we care about each other as persons, not just somebody we work with, but that I genuinely care about how Frank's family is doing. And that comes
Mm-hmm.
across in how I relate with him and vice versa. So when you don't really care about the people and you don't really start to dig into who they really are and what they love and what they care about, people can sense that. And they know when you're being kind of standoffish or closed off from them. And
Mm-hmm.
it causes them in turn to be closed off and standoffish with the work. And so
Yeah.
there's really, when people start to feel like people don't care about them in the workplace, that translates into how they respond to the work. And they start to feel like, well, why does it even matter? They don't care about me. So why should I care about them? It's just kind of that knee jerk response that people have.
Yeah. Engagement levels are the lowest they've been in over a decade. And this people are not feeling anybody cares about them. That is the reality of the situation because, coworkers are people first, workers second, let's face it. And
Yes.
now we get to empathy. A lot of people have talked about empathy and compassion. They're different, but empathy is the gateway to compassion. You got to care about somebody to actually take action on maybe them feeling bad. So we learn about colleagues' experiences, struggles, and life events, and we get to know the whole person. You really got to spend time getting to know the whole person. Who are they? What did they go through in life? What great leaders will do is pull their people together and do the famous three questions like,
Yeah.
tell me the three things that made you who you are today, and have everybody go around and start to share a little bit more about themselves. And as a coworker, when you really connect to some of their story, you should set up a meeting with them separately to dig deeper, find out more about them, show you really care about them. And we have a little poster here on the left of five things you could do to be empathetic, like being fully present, being an empathetic listener, acknowledging others' emotions. Don't judge them, but say, wow, you're really looking down today, something up. Ask open ended questions, which means you were listening and would like to know more. You're digging in deeper. Or take some compassionate actions, you can really help them and help them solve problems or work through things. Empathy actually matters. And compassion is the next level. It's where you're taking action to help people. These things are very important in a workplace.
Yeah. And you can't fake it either. There's nothing
Yeah.
worse than a manager that comes over and kind of asks you a canned question and they don't really listen to your response. They're
Oh
kind of
God,
moving on to the next thing before
horrible.
you even finish. They cut you off. They're, just really not interested, but they're doing it because somebody told them that they had to show like some show of good faith that we care. And when it's really not heartfelt and genuine, people know that.
Yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
a vibe. And we
Famous.
talked about that before. It's really a vibe that people pick up on. They can tell when you're really being genuine and sincere.
Oh yeah. It's the boss who comes over and says, hey, how's your family doing? And the worker responds and says, not great. My son's in the hospital. Oh my God, that's terrible. Well, I hope he's okay. Let me ask you about this blah 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 that you're working on. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
see that ineptitude at this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just
Totally
total lack of
insensitive.
caring, total fake. Somebody told
Yeah.
them try to show you care. They can't do it because they don't really care.
Yeah. You have to really care.
Yeah.
And in order to really listen, you really do have to really care. It's one of those things where you don't just constantly interrupt people. You listen attentively and you ask appropriate questions. You really lean into what the person is saying and don't try to rush through the conversation. You're really trying to hear with understanding, not always listening so that you can have something to say back. And there's a big difference in that. When you're
Oh,
listening for
huge.
understanding, you really just want to know. You just really are curious about the person and you want to know how they think and what they like and what they don't like versus just listening so that now you can come up and formulate a response back or how you can shift the conversation over to you so that you can talk about what you like. You have to be really careful that you pay attention to what people are saying because it's important. It really is important for people to feel like they're being heard, especially in this time in which we live now. There's so much happening in the world where people just
Yeah.
don't have that place where they feel like they're seen and they're heard. And we're seeing so many tragedies happen in this country because people just feel like nobody listens. Nobody is caring about me as an individual. And so we have to take that as ownership as leaders to make sure that we're listening to people, that we hear, that we see, that we pay attention, that we catch on to when somebody's face is maybe a little bit downcast if they are not feeling well. You have to know your employees well enough to be able to recognize those subtleties in their face, facial expressions, their body language. You have to read more than just the words or listen to more than just the words that are coming out of their mouth. You got to read their faces and read their body language and listen to everything that they're saying.
No,
So they
you're
may be saying, I'm fine with the words that are coming out of their mouth. Their body language will tell the story and
great
they will
point.
say something
Great
else.
point. People should be, really taking in the whole person. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what it comes down to. And interruption is so rude, right? It says your opinion doesn't matter, mine
right.
does. Or the jumping in to say, "Oh, you mean blah 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 blah," because you didn't listen to enough, but you want to prove you're so clever, you know where they're going. I mean, interruptions just don't really ever serve either party, and they make the
Yeah.
person who's interrupting look really, really rude. So,
Yeah.
great points there.
It's very frustrating when people cut you off. So I'm a deep thinker, and sometimes I don't always get all of my thoughts out quick enough.
Yeah.
But when you're talking to people that will just interrupt you, they'll stop your train of thought because they just want to jump in and finish it and hurry up and get to the end. And
Yep.
sometimes you have to just hold your tongue long enough to let that person get their thought out completely before you jump right in and have the answer or, this is what you should do. This is the solution. Sometimes people just need a moment to get all their thoughts out.
I was a bad interrupter early in my career. It took me a while to get control of it, be honest with you. I was, always wanted to get to the end, move on, get
Yeah.
done. So I had to really learn. Nurturing, do you know where people really want to go? Are you helping support their growth? Helping behaviors are just super important. Caring about people where you care about them and their success and you want to know where they're going and you can help them. succeed and get there. Maybe some great online courses they could take, but you have to get to know the person. Maybe you can help with a particular problem. But if you want to really help somebody grow, you've got to get to know them. You've got to know a lot about them, know where they're going, know what they're willing to put their time into. And so everybody should care about each other's growth, but in particular, the leaders. It's their job to nurture and grow the people because they're the one producing the product at the end of the day. And
That's
they should know fully, coworkers should do this as well, but it's really up to leaders to make sure this is where they're spending their time. It's hugely important.
very important. And you start to see how this man is pouring this water on the plant. We've all seen those plants that are just drooping over, they're
Mm.
dying from thirst.
Oh, you've been in my
People,
house?
yeah, yeah, people are the same way. Like you really do have to nurture them and water those seeds that are planted. In
Yeah.
order for you to get the best out of people, you really do have to nurture them. And I love this image. The manager is watering the plants
Yeah.
that he's been gifted with being in charge of. This society that we're in now, people just are so quick to be angry and
Oh, transactional.
disagree and, just argue and fight over the simplest things. And being able to nurture somebody else and allowing them to grow in the way that they grow and to encourage them to be their best self, this is a huge thing that if you can master this as a leader, people will never forget this. They will never forget the people that have helped them grow and become a better version of themselves. We,
100%.
we all have blind spots. We all have those areas where we just don't know. And so when you have somebody that comes along, not to just criticize you, but to actually help you grow and to support you in the process, you will never forget that person.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. And, we're in a society where people are so self-centered with all the selfies they take. They're worried
Yeah.
about themselves. And, if you're a leader, in a sense, you're a farmer. You've got people, that's the crop, and you've got to nurture that crop to produce a great one. And that's how you get the payback.
Yes, absolutely.
And so lastly, Tara, maybe you want to touch on kindness, acts of kindness.
Yes, kindness. I love these images. Always be willing to help. That's just the bottom line. That you are constantly looking for a way as a leader. How can I help? How can I help lift the burden off of my employees? How can I help move roadblocks and obstacles? How can I help eliminate some of those busy work activities, meaningless things that we have to do in the day that, maybe we don't have to do them anymore? All of those things really matter when you can help remove and do some things that are kind for other people. Just little simple things.
Little things,
It
yes.
doesn't have to be the grandest gesture, just the smallest things, knowing that you've had your team working, you've had to work on a production issue maybe, or you've been working late hours or early mornings and just pulling all-nighters in some ways. Take just a few minutes and thank people. Let them know that you really appreciate their work and then give them a day off. Give them, a gift card and say, "Hey, go have dinner on me." If you know that your team has to work late and they're going to be working through dinner, bring in dinner for them so they don't
Absolutely.
have to also try to figure out how they're going to eat while they do what they need to do for the company. Like little things like that, those small little acts of kindness go such a long way.
Years ago, working in Manhattan, one of the women on the team, she got to know everybody so well. Like she knew I loved really dark chocolate. She'd go out, she'd be buying chocolate, and I'd find a little bag of chocolate on my desk with a post-it note, "Have a great day." I knew it
Yeah.
was her. And these little things like that, it just made such a difference for the team. She was great. And then people would pay it forward, and it started being a little contagious.
Yeah.
And people would be, thoughtful and kind in return. So it was absolutely great. These things do matter. And there's ways to do it if you're working remote from other people. You could send them gift cards online, electronically, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I had a manager once that just absolutely crushed this. He was so good at just, and he was in England
Yeah,
of all
amazing.
places. I was here in Alabama, he was in England, but he would send personalized handwritten thank you notes. He would send Christmas cards. He would send Christmas gifts, like just little things where he just wanted you to know that he really appreciated what you were doing. He really cared about you. And it just made all the difference in the world. I was still very young in my career, so
Yeah,
I didn't really know a whole lot. So it was just great to have that affirmation that I was doing a good job, that he appreciated what I was doing. All
yeah,
those
it's
little
huge.
things matter so much.
They do. They're really important. And, a caring culture is one where these things start to happen organically. People know that it creates a better workplace and they happen. And all of these eventually lead to a sense of belonging. And so next week, we're going to talk about, can remote workers develop a sense of belonging? Join us and find out. We've gone through, a number of episodes laying out things that should be happening. Now let's take it to the next level, so the roots start to grow deeper in the soil in the place, that belonging. And so I hope you could join us. We're here every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern time. And I hope this series is an eye opener for you and you can make use of all these norms we're sharing with you.
Yes, this has been wonderful. You've got a really good deck that you can go through. All of these episodes really that kind of bring the whole story together. So
Yeah.
we look forward to next week.
Yep. See you then. Take care.